Welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe and dive into stories that'll stay with you long after the video ends. Let's begin. It was the kind of night that swallowed sound. Rain fell in sheets, drumming on rooftops, pooling in gutters, whispering secrets against the window panes. And somewhere between the thunder's growl and the steady pulse of the storm, a cry broke through. Lena froze halfway through the hallway. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then it came again, thin, sharp. Desperate, a baby's cry, her heart clenched. Not here. Not in this quiet, forgotten neighborhood on the edge of town. She slipped on her boots, wrapped herself in a blanket and pulled open the front door. Cold air hit her like a slap. The rain was merciless, slicing down from the porch roof, and there, at her feet, in the yellow glow of the porch light, sat a wicker basket. The cry came again. Soft now, tired, inside, swaddled in a damp white cloth, was a baby, no more than a few weeks old. Tiny fingers curled. Trembling, a small knitted cap clung to its head, soaked through. Oh my God. Lena knelt, hands shaking.
Who left you here?
She looked up, scanning the street, empty. Just the rhythmic fall of rain on asphalt. No cars, no footsteps, nothing. And then she saw it pinned to the edge of the blanket, barely holding against the wind. A folded piece of paper. Her fingers trembled as she peeled it open. The ink bleeding from the storm's touch. 3 words stared back at her. Please protect her, that was all. Her breath caught in her throat. The baby whimpered, as if begging for warmth, for safety, for anything. Lena scooped her up, clutching her against her chest. The child's warmth seeped through her damp sweater, grounding her, anchoring her to the moment. She carried the basket inside, bolted the door, and stood there, rain dripping from her hair, shoes leaving muddy prints across the floor. The baby blinked up at her, eyes wide and impossibly blue, not the pale blue of newborns. No, these eyes were deep, almost knowing. Lena whispered, "It's all right, sweetheart. You're safe now." But as she turned, she caught something strange. A shadow moved. Outside, just for a second beyond the front gate. Figures still watching, she froze. The baby stirred. Lightning flashed and the figure was gone. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She double-checked the locks, drew the curtains, and rocked the child until the cries faded into soft breaths. Only then did she realize she was crying too. The note lay on the table, curling at the edges as the ink bled into the paper. She stared at it for a long time, her mind racing with questions she couldn't begin to answer. Who would abandon a baby like this? And why her? Morning came gray and heavy, the storm having left behind a silence that pressed against the windows. Lena hadn't slept. She sat at the kitchen table, the baby cradled in one arm, a mug of untouched coffee cooling beside her. The little girl, she had decided she was a girl, was quiet now. Her cheeks were flushed with life, her small breath steady. Lena had found an old blanket, cleaned a bottle, done what she could, but her mind wouldn't stop spinning. The note, the shadow, the feeling that none of this was chance. Then came a knock at the door. 3 slow raps, measured, heavy. Her stomach turned cold. She hesitated, clutching the baby close. Another knock. "Miss Harper?" A man's voice called, muffled through the wood. "I'm Officer Dale, town police." She opened the door a crack. A tall man stood there in uniform, rain still on his shoulders, his expression wary. "Sorry to bother you so early," he said, glancing past her. "We had reports of commotion last night. Anyone come by here?" Lena hesitated. She could lie, say no, keep the baby safe, but the note's words burned in her head. "Please protect her. There was," she said softly, "someone left a baby on my porch." The officer blinked, taken aback. "Left a baby?" She nodded, stepping aside so he could see the tiny bundle sleeping in her arms. He sighed, muttering something under his breath. then took out a small notebook. "Do you still have anything from whoever left her? A note, maybe?" She handed it to him. He studied it carefully, then frowned. "No signature. No fingerprints from what I can tell. Ink's cheap. Paper's standard." He looked at her. "You didn't see anyone?" "I thought I did," she said. "Out near the gate. But when lightning struck, they were gone." He nodded slowly, lips tightening. "You should lock your doors, Miss Harper. If someone's capable of leaving a baby out in the storm, we can't guess what else they're capable of." She watched him leave. The sound of his boots fading down the walk. The baby stirred. Letting out a soft coo, Lena whispered, "I'll keep you safe, whoever you are." Hours passed. The sky cleared to a pale blue, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling she was being watched. Late that afternoon, when she stepped out to bring in the mail, she found something that made her blood run cold. On the porch rail, where the basket had been, lay a small silver locket. It hadn't been there before. She picked it up carefully, wiping away the water droplets. Inside was a photo, blurred, faded, but she could make out a young woman holding a baby. The woman's eyes looked just like the ones in her arms, and behind the photo, etched faintly into the metal, were two initials, L.H., her own. Lena sat at her kitchen table long after sunset, the silver locket resting between her palms. Her own initials. It didn't make sense. She had grown up in this house, left it for college, returned when her mother passed away. No siblings. No children. No family left, and yet someone out there knew her name, her past, enough to leave. A child on her doorstep with her initials engraved in silver. The thought clawed at her chest. She searched through old drawers, dusty boxes, anything that might explain the connection. Photographs, letters, and then she found it. An envelope hidden inside one of her mother's journals, yellowed with time, sealed but brittle. Inside was a photo, a hospital room, her mother, younger, smiling weakly, holding two babies. Two. Lena's breath caught. Her hands trembled as she turned over the picture. On the back, in her mother's neat handwriting, Lena and Lily. Day old. A twin. Lena felt her knees weaken. She stumbled back, gripping the table. How could she not have known? Memories flickered. Vague, dreamlike flashes of a second voice in her childhood room. Laughter echoing in the dark, and then nothing. Her mother had never spoken of it, never once. She rushed to the phone, dialing the police station. Officer Dale answered, groggy but alert. Dale speaking. "Officer, it's Lena Harper. I think I know something about the baby." A pause. "Go on. There's a connection. My mother, she had twins. I never knew. My sister's name was Lily. The initials in the locket, they match mine. L.H. The silence stretched. Finally he said, "I'll come by in the morning. Don't open the door for anyone else tonight." She hung up. But her heart wouldn't slow. She checked the locks again, peeked through the curtains and froze. A car sat parked across the street. No lights, no movement, just the faint glint of metal under the moonlight. Her pulse quickened. She stepped back from the window, holding the baby close. In the dim light of the living room, she whispered, "Is she your mother? My sister?" The baby stared up at her, calm now, eyes reflecting the lamplight. And for a moment, Lena felt an overwhelming sense of déjà vu, like she was holding a piece of herself she'd lost long ago. Then, headlights flashed, the car engine roared to life, and it sped off into the night. She stood there, trembling, clutching the child to her chest, knowing this wasn't over. Whoever left the baby hadn't gone far, and now, someone knew that Lena was starting to remember. The next morning, the house felt colder. Lena woke to the sound of creaking wood above her. Slow, deliberate like footsteps in the attic. She grabbed a flashlight, her heart hammering. The baby slept soundly in her crib by the fireplace. Each step up the narrow staircase groaned beneath her weight. Dust hung thick in the air, swirling like ghosts in the beam of her light. "Hello?" she whispered. Silence, but the air felt charged, alive with something unseen. At the far end of the attic, behind stacks of boxes, she found a trunk. The lock was broken, rusted through inside old papers, a faded quilt, and a small leather-bound journal. Her mother's handwriting filled the first page. "If you are reading this, Lena, then the truth can't stay hidden any longer," she read, her hands trembling. "You were not meant to be alone. You had a sister, Lily, but she was taken from me, not by choice, not by death, by a promise I was forced to make." The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. "They came when you were babies, said I couldn't keep you both, that one of you was chosen, the other bound for something greater, something dangerous. I fought them. God knows I did, but they took her, and I swore to protect you from ever knowing." Lena's breath hitched. The pages ended abruptly, ink smeared by tears long dried. A sound downstairs made her spin around, the creak of the front door. She rushed down the stairs, flashlight trembling in her grip, and froze in the doorway. A woman stood in her living room, dripping from the rain, eyes identical to hers. "Lena," the woman whispered. "You found her." Her voice was fragile, breaking. Lena's mind reeled. "Lily?" The woman nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I didn't know how else to reach you. They've been watching me for months. I couldn't let them take her too." Lena's heart pounded. "Who's watching you?" Lily shook her head. "You wouldn't believe me, but everything Mom wrote, it's true. They never stopped." Footsteps crunched outside, heavy, many. Lily turned toward the window. "They found us." The lights flickered. The baby began to cry. Lena grabbed her sister's hand. "We have to go, now!" They ran for the back door, the wind howling, rain returning like an omen. Behind them, the front door burst open, voices shouting, boots pounding. Lena didn't look back. She only tightened, her hold on the baby, on her sister, on the fragile thread of truth unraveling before her. They didn't stop running until dawn. The forest swallowed them whole, trees whispering above, the world still damp from rain. Lena's legs burned, lungs raw, but she didn't let go. By the time they reached the old cabin by the river, the first light was breaking through the clouds. Lily shut the door behind them, chest heaving. "They won't find us here," she whispered. "Not yet." Lena laid the baby down gently, her mind spinning. "What do they want, Lily? Who are they?" Her sister looked away, tears glinting in her eyes. "When they took me, they told Mom I'd be part of a research program. Something about genetics, about inheritance. But it was lies. They were experimenting, trying to create something pure, something they could control." She shuddered. "When I found out I was pregnant, I ran. I couldn't let them take her." Lena knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Then we'll protect her. Together." Lily smiled weakly. "You sound like Mom." The baby stirred, eyes opening, those same haunting blue eyes. For the first time, the sisters both smiled, but the peace didn't last. Outside, a faint hum filled the air, vehicles on the distant road. Lily reached into her coat and pulled out an envelope. "This is everything," she said. "Documents, names, locations. If something happens to me, promise you'll take her somewhere safe." "Nothing's going to happen to you," Lena said, but Lily only shook her head. "Promise me." Lena hesitated, then nodded. "I promise." A noise outside, crunching leaves. The baby began to cry again. Lily turned, eyes wide. "Go, out the back, now." "Not without you. Please, Lena." Her voice broke. "Protect her." Lena hesitated one last heartbeat, then took the child, ran through the back door into the rising sun. She didn't look back, but she heard the shouts, the gunshot, the silence that followed. By the time she reached the hill overlooking the river, the cabin was burning. Flames reached high into the dawn, painting the sky with grief. She held the baby close, whispering through her tears, "You're safe now. I swear it." Days later, when the authorities found her, she told them everything, except one thing: the note. She kept it, folded in her pocket, a promise she intended to keep. And when she looked down at the child's face, now peaceful, she knew the truth her mother had hidden. Some bonds aren't made by blood, but by the choices we make when everything else is gone. Years would pass before the girl learned her story. By then, the locket would hang around her neck, and the name Lena Harper would be her mother's, not just by name, but by heart. And somewhere beyond memory, in the quiet after rain, Lena could almost hear her sister's voice, soft, certain, carried by the wind. You kept your promise. Thanks for watching.